Hello, everyone, and welcome to Winged Victory with Rob and Scott, a podcast by the National Museum of World War II Aviation here in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Welcome to another episode. I'm Scott Clares, and I'm here once again with my partner in crime, Rob Gale.
Truly glad to be here.
And today we got a great guest, and we're really excited to have him here. He's been a part of this museum for many, many years, and he's been involved in the aviation industry for basically his entire life, as far as I know, but we're about to find out.
We are about to find out.
Mr. Ian Wayman.
Hello.
Say hi to the kids.
Glad to be here. Thank you, you guys. Yeah.
I have been trying to pin you down for this podcast since I started this podcast. And I finally run you to ground.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you here for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to start right off. We're sitting right in front of this beautiful airplane here, 374 Tiger Cat, and I think you got a pretty good history of this airplane.
Mild acquaintance.
Yeah, from a very young age.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, 6, 7, 8 years old, my dad was a private pilot in Santa Rosa, California. And we'd go out, he liked the airplanes, and we'd go out to the airport, walk around Siskiyou Aviation or Siskiyou Flying Service. And this airplane in the background was one of the airplanes I actually walked around. It was a fire bomber. And yeah, I walked around it as a kid, never imagining that someday I'd be flying the dang thing.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a full circle.
I'm really blessed.
At that point, that'd be a full circle moment for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is that something that when you were that young, was that seeing these airplanes, was that kind of when your fires got stoked?
I've loved airplanes my whole life, but being a spoiled kid around airplanes, I was 2 years old, sat on my mom's lap in a Cessna 182 while my dad flew the family to the East Coast. They're from upstate New York originally, and so I've been in airplanes all the time, and doesn't everybody have an airplane? So I was pretty spoiled as far as that goes. And I was actually out of high school. I got my private, soloed my dad's Cessna 140 when I was in high school and just played with it. It was, I just put gas and oil in it and flew it anytime, anywhere I wanted. And it wasn't until shortly after high school I actually got my private and I went away to college. And that's when I realized I loved aviation because I went to Chico, and every time I saw an airplane fly over, it's like, that's where I want to be.
Yeah.
So I was hanging out at a crop duster strip in Chico area, and it was like, oh yeah, well, you can sweep the floors and do that for a few years, and then maybe 3 or 4 years from now we'll let you fly the airplane out to the job site. Or I'm like, no, I want to fly now. So I actually quit college, went back, got my commercial, started towing gliders in Calistoga, and working on the gas truck there like I did in high school. I got the job again and flying corporate stuff around with all these great guys that, hey, I got a trip to Albuquerque, you want to go with me? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I'd get free multi-engine time, and so I did all backwards. Got my commercial, started flying gliders, like I said, and then got my multi-engine, and then I added my instrument on later, and then, all that stuff.
Yeah, I just went through the progression.
Never did a CFI because I always had job opportunities, and so went from towing gliders to then flying DC-4s for Aero Union.
Yeah, so that was when you started your air tanker day?
Yep, and I love flying the DC-4. It's a fantastic airplane. I love that kind of flying, low level, right above the treetops. It's really fun and exciting. But the entire fire season long, from May 1st to November 30th, I had 1 day off a week that entire time, and it drove me nuts.
Yeah.
Working on the gas truck at the airport, you'd see all these guys hanging out, working on their PT-22s or their Beech 18s or their P-51s or Sea Furies, and they're at the airport more than I'm at the airport, and they're full, I'm a full-time employee.
They have jobs.
Yeah, and I'm like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm an airline pilot. It's like, when I was fighting forest fires, that airline pilot job looked pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I ended up going to the airlines and did my career at the airlines.
So how long were you at the firefighting?
3 summers, but it was 2 summers, and then I got a job flying commuters, and I happened to have 7 days off, and a friend of mine and I were going to go to the Smithsonian, jump seat out, because as an airline pilot you can jump seat for free. And Aero Union happened to call me. Hey, Ian, we need a co-pilot for a little while. Can you? So in the 89 fire season, I flew for a week for Aero Union Corporation. So it was 2 summers and then a week. In that
just
third
as a nice
season.
thing, just to help
It was
out a
awesome.
little bit.
Yeah. Yep. And now I'm getting back into firefighting. So.
Yeah, because you
just completed all your quals up in Montana.
Yep, in Missoula with Neptune Aviation. Fantastic company. They really treat you well, and I'm really looking forward to flying for Neptune.
So another
Flying
full
out.
circle moment, essentially.
BAE 140s, yeah, like this.
Yeah, getting back into this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, the flying is going to be. I retired early from the airline I worked for.
Good plan.
Yeah,
that which we will not speak of.
yes, right.
I just say good plan.
Yeah.
But
So then, how did you get into the Warbird sector of things? How did you start flying some of that, getting involved?
Just dropped on my head as a child, and always loved them.
Yeah.
You know, working on the gas truck, Art Vance had his Mustang, Bob Clopton had a Harvard, and we'd help him work on it and stuff. And I had a lot of tailwheel time, Cessna 140 and Cessna 195 time, a radial engine and tailwheel. And I was helping Bob with this Harvard, and he's like, man, you want to fly it? Sure.
No.
So I started flying that all over and just really loved the Warbirds and was blessed enough. And that's one thing I really liked about Aero Union is flying a DC-4. It was built, the airplane I flew was built in May of 1944. It was just a fantastic, fun radial engine. It was awesome. So
yeah, they were workhorses of ATC and the Berlin airlift and
right,
all
and
that.
The
cool
airplane
stuff.
I flew actually flew in the Berlin airlift. Yeah.
Huh.
So
Really?
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's that was some flying.
Yes.
They were. I think the separation was 2 minutes
Yes.
into Tempelhof.
That's what really, I think ATC really got their calling there and coordinating that.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, but let's not ignore our beautiful girl here. So not only did you walk around her as a kid, but you got to fly this airplane.
Yes, and when we had Tiger Cat over at your dad's shop, the P-47 was over there, and the docents would come over and they'd say, well, if you wanted to pick up the girls, you flew a P-51 Mustang, and if you wanted to survive your mission, you flew a P-47. So I'd walk over to the docents, I'm like, shh, she's going to hear you. She is way sexier than a P-51. Don't say that so loud.
If you wanted to do both, you flew this.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, the Tiger Cat is a fantastic, beautiful airplane. It really is.
Yeah, and I will admit I've used that Mustang Thunderbolt line, but never in front of our friend here.
Yeah, she's way sexier than a P-51.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what does it feel like the first time you strap this thing on? I mean, you get to sit in this thing, you got the history of it. You're not just jumping into another Warbird.
Right.
This is the plane that you saw as a little kid. It's obviously something that's been ingrained in your head for a long time. So what's that feel like when you're firing it up and you're taxiing it out? And
Did I die and go to heaven?
Yeah.
It was absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. I can't even describe it. Yeah, you're nervous because it's a new airplane and you want to treat it well and take good care of it and everything. But
yeah, I know you're real busy going through the checklist and, just making sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's.
Because this airplane it'll start flying easily at 95 knots, but your VMC is 120. So you take off and you let it accelerate and then usually climb out about 140. And that's...
And at that point, you could just pull the nose to the sky and never stop.
Yes.
It's an amazing airplane that way.
Yeah.
It was built to climb.
Yes,
absolutely.
And it throws you back in a seat. And, of course, with the jets, especially if you're lightly loaded, and there was a flight attendant who used to like the takeoffs where I'd taxi out on the runway and I'd bring the power up and hold the brakes. And then, she always liked that. So we always did that for her. But that's what it's like flying a Tiger Cat.
It's a carrier airplane, or at least nominally.
Yes.
And so, yeah, I believe 90 knots because you're going to have 30 or so across the deck, and
Yeah.
there you are.
And it's 4,200 horsepower in your hand. It's pretty fun.
It's a lot.
You need to get out those too.
I've been in
Yes.
it once. I've been in
Yeah.
375 once, and it was the craziest ride that I've ever been in for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yep.
So, I mean, I would consider you like a pilot's pilot. Like, you've been flying, you do all the flying. You do the bush pilot stuff. You go out. I mean, you really like to fly airplanes.
Obviously.
I mean, you have an obvious love for it. So, how did you, I don't know, use that or suppress the pilot side of you to go fly airlines for so long, where basically, I mean, you're very regimented. You got to fly it a certain way at a certain time and be on schedule. So,
Well,
how did you do that and stay sane?
I would
there's
play
an
with the
assumption
airline
there.
a little bit. I'd have fun.
Yeah.
I'd typically, even in the Airbus, I'd hand fly it to RVSM airspace, to 28,000 feet, and then you have to have it on the autopilot.
Okay.
But I'd hand fly it. In an Airbus, you're not really hand flying. You're asking permission from the computer
To do what you want to do.
But yeah, and the when I flew the 737, the autopilots were way more primitive than the Airbus, and so we hand flew. That was previous to RVSM airspace, where you have to have it on autopilot above 28 or 29. I flew the 73 all the way to altitude, trim it up, and then turn the autopilot on. I just like flying.
Yeah.
And you'd be on an RNAV course or whatever departure, and you're going through little puffy cumulus clouds, and so many of the guys that they just leave it on autopilot, and this cloud is 150 yards wide, and boom, 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 and it's like, well, if you just slid over this way a little bit, you go right around it and be nice and smooth.
I've flown behind some of those guys.
Yes. And
Or
so
ridden.
I'd have fun out of Atlanta. You get these little cues popping, and I just like a Reno air race, just pile on. I go around it. Yeah, so
That would
I
have felt
did
ever
stuff
so
like
much
that.
better.
You got it. Yeah, you got it.
Because otherwise, it's pretty boring.
Yeah, I mean, you're a bus driver at some point instead
Yes,
of out
absolutely.
doing the things you
Well,
want
our
to do.
bus drivers still got to use the steering wheel. But
Yeah.
back to this great Tiger Cat, you got some cross country time, and I suspect that's when it really hit you, when you
Yes.
really got time in the airplane to savor it.
It's actually kind of a tough airplane to fly. We're indicating 220 knots, 225 knots at cruise at 65, 7,500 feet. I was following Charlie Hainline down to Florida.
Yeah.
And you watch the artificial horizon, and you don't see that thing hardly move, just barely perceptible pitch change, and you're going up 1,200 feet a minute or going down 1,200. It'd be a really tough airplane to fly IFR and hold your altitude right at 100, less than 100 feet. But
It doesn't like to sit still, is what you're saying.
yeah, it's a fighter.
It's
The other thing about it is fuel planning. We calculated 3 gallons a minute cruising in these things. And that was a little conservative, so you'd have a little extra when you got to your destination. But it doesn't have a lot of fuel.
No.
About 2.5 hours of flying, and you better be.
Well, we packed
Landing.
300 gallons worth of extra fuel on them with the tanks and stuff
Yeah.
on both of them. So,
Yeah.
because otherwise, you're an hour and a half.
Yes.
You take off, you're looking for your
it's
next stop.
3 gallons a minute.
Yeah.
And of course, Charlie had the centerline, 300 centerline tank on this one.
Yeah.
And I had the two 150s, and the two 150s in between the engine and the fuselage. It's a high pressure area, so you got a lot more drag than his. So I'm having to carry power, and of course, he starts his descent, and I have to add power to keep up with him. Of course, he's going a little fast below 10,000. It was but they're a super fast airplane.
Well, they
So
they look fast just sitting on the ground.
So the
Yes.
first time,
Built for speed.
your first time, tell us about that.
The first time I flew it,
Yeah.
Well, it was a learning experience. I mean, the airplane was fantastic. It flew great. I, took off and did all the maneuvers I was asked to do from the examiner. Charlie was, typed me in it. You're solo. First time you ever fly it, you're solo because there's only one set of controls in the airplane.
Unless you're on somebody's lap.
Yeah.
It's not big enough for that. It's
very
small.
Yeah, and you sit in the cockpit and you can almost look straight down just by doing like that. Yeah, you got these big engines out there, but it's totally different. The TBM is this humongous cockpit. This is so skinny and narrow.
Yeah.
But the thing I did discover about it is every airplane I've flown basically is, if a wing drops off, you just pick it up, and when the wings are there, you just neutralize it and it stops. No, these airplanes, if it's wings down and you pick it up, it keeps on going. And you got to stop it. You got so much mass out there. Yeah, you got so much mass. You start that swinging and it just wants to keep on going.
Counteract.
So you actually have to stop the
engine torque.
So on my first, coming into landing, it was a little bumpy, and I'm going like this the whole way down. It's like, what? Yeah.
But still, what a deal.
Oh yeah, it's
not polite to be envious, but I really can't.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely, this is an airplane like, I got the same kind of story with 375 where I was like 12, 13 when my dad acquired that from Pima, and then we were out there taking that thing apart. So it took 30 years before I got to see it fly.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of in the same boat as you, except for haven't flown it yet, but I've been in it. So
yeah, well,
I kind of understand what that feels like.
When I hopped in it, the day I was getting the type rating, your dad's standing there and he goes, "Don't screw this up. You're only the third person that's ever flown this airplane." I'm like, "Oh, thanks a lot."
No pressure.
Yeah,
he's pretty good about that kind of, putting no pressure on you.
Yeah.
While you already have enough pressure on you, you're like, okay, thanks.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I needed.
Yeah,
I really appreciate
your dad
that.
could turn coal into diamonds. I swear.
So speaking of him, let's go ahead and get into that. I kind of like the story of how you came involved in this museum, but it kind of started many, many years before the museum was even here. And how did you even meet my dad the first time?
First time I met your dad, I was flying a Lockheed Electra Junior. It was a C-40. It wasn't actually a Lockheed 12. It was actually a C-40. Later on, unfortunately, crashed down in Southern California. But anyway, I was flying it to an air show in Tracy, California. And my daughter was just a little baby at the time. And we parked next to this B-25. And, of course, lots of nice shade in the Central Valley underneath this B-25 wing.
Yeah.
So we'd go over there and we met your dad,
Yeah.
And Debbie was there, and Al, and of course, we have this little baby, and Debbie's like, "Oh, let me see the baby." So, we'd leave Victoria, my daughter, with your mom, Debbie, and we'd go off and get something to eat, whatever, come back, and it was awesome. So we spent the whole weekend kind of hanging out with your dad and Debbie, and really enjoyed it, and
you were living in California at the time. Santa Maria.
It was Santa Rosa.
Santa Rosa.
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
so then fast forward, we move out here, and you guys move
fast
out.
forward, I get the airline job with the airline we won't mention, and
Right.
and I end up buying a airport community house at Meadow Lake, and I wake up one morning and I open the bedroom curtains, and there in the hangar is there's a PT-19 with a bunch of cars parked there. Oh, so I shave and shower and get ready to go. Everybody's gone. Dang it. I wonder what the story is with that airplane. It's a World War II trainer. It's cool. I didn't even know it was there.
So here at the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs, Colorado, we have a lot of flying airplanes. Over 25, in fact. In our early years as a fledgling museum, we had like 3 batteries to share between all of these airplanes. So you can imagine what it was like whenever we decided to fly something, having to remove and lug one of these heavy things called a battery. In the years since Concorde came on as a sponsor to the museum, our battery malfunctions and need to replace them has gone to 0. If you've ever fired up a Warbird or watched one start, you know that you don't always get it to light up at the first go. The amount of worry we used to have hoping you had enough juice to actually get it fired up just no longer exists for us. We have total confidence that we will have the battery power we need to get the show going. At the time, we were using the more conventional aircraft battery, but take the top off and check each individual cell for proper acid level. You know the type. You never quite get that level right, and either it would be dry or it would be overfilling and spilling acid all over you and the plane. I had more than a couple shirts destroyed in the process of moving one of these batteries, but no more.
Thanks to Concorde Batteries. With their innovative, fully sealed battery, gone are the days of worrying about acid spills in your beautifully maintained airplane. Not to mention the absolute bulletproof reliability we get out of every Concorde battery we have in this museum. If you're tired of the mess and worry your old battery brings to you every time you want to go fly, install one of these beautifully packaged Concorde batteries. Get yourself an improved battery minder, plug it in, and never have to worry about it again. The peace of mind is worth every penny. Find Concorde Batteries at ConcordeBattery.com, proud sponsor of the National Museum of World War II Aviation in Colorado Springs, and fully endorsed by the Winged Victory podcast.
So a few weeks later, I get up in the morning, I open the bedroom curtains, and there's the PT-19 hangar open again, all these cars. So this time I just brushed my teeth, I got dressed, and I went over there, and it turns out it was your dad.
Yeah.
The guy had passed away, and his wife was donating the airplane to the museum. And so I came over and, said hi and told your dad, oh, yeah, you're Bill Clears. I met you in Tracy Air Show, and Debbie fell in love with my daughter. And he's like, yeah, that sounds like Debbie.
Yeah.
And, volunteers oftentimes are very enthusiastic, but sometimes not talented. Some are great. And, I'm standing there and talking to your dad, and,
We're taking it apart.
You're taking the airplane apart to get it on a trailer to get it to the museum.
It was the first airplane donated to the museum.
Yeah. And I remember taking it apart, and, you need. So I just grabbed tools and dove in and started doing stuff that needed to be done, and you guys, at the end of the day, we got them on the trailers, and
you want to come help put this thing back together?
Yeah. Well, actually, you invited me.
Beers, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you need to come to the bar with us. Yeah. I'm like, oh yeah, you mean the airplane restaurant? And you said, no, we have our own bar. I'm like, you have your own bar? And your dad goes, it's a table.
It's a bench with the refrigerator. We call it the bar.
Yeah.
That was every Saturday. That's what we would do.
Well, and Thursdays back then.
At the time, Thursday nights too.
So I started hanging out on Thursdays. I tried to invite the wife. She did finally come once, and then Bill, of course,
ran her off
and picked on her, and she's like, I'm not doing that again. I don't want to hang out with a bunch of stupid pilots talking airplanes, but I
don't blame her.
But it started hanging out, and Ian was homeschooled at the time. He was 12.
Yeah, he was young.
And so during the day when you guys were, putting up sheetrock, building cabinets, whatever, just starting the museum, Ian and I would come out and volunteer and help. And your dad took a liking to him, and when he was about 14, your dad put my son in charge of projects. Mm-hmm. And it was, that was a way better education than going to a public school.
Oh my gosh.
There's fantastic.
No comparison.
The volunteers, these old retired guys had come to me and, man, your son is amazing. And
yeah, still is.
Yeah, still is.
He's still running projects over here.
Episode 18, folks.
Yeah, no, he's
Ian's
super
got
talented pilot, a super good mechanic.
Yeah.
He's a sharp kid. I don't know what the mailman was like, but I'm wondering.
I'm just gonna. You always say you get dropped on your head, and that's why you like this stuff. How many times do you drop him on his head?
Because
he really likes
it. Yeah, the ex-wife must have dropped him multiple times. Yeah. No, he's a great kid.
That was kind of how you got involved in all this, and then started flying a bunch of this stuff.
Well, and then your dad was talking about PBY, coming to the museum, and I don't know. We need to build another hangar, but I don't know what a wingspan of PBY is. But I said it's 104 feet, and he's like, How do you know? Well, I'm typed in one. I flew one out in Santa Rosa. So, yeah, it was funny. Yeah.
And then you became the PBY pilot.
Yeah, because no one else was PBY rated.
Yeah,
so
at
yes.
all. Still
Yeah.
aren't. They still don't have
Yeah.
anybody else
Yeah.
PBY printed.
Well, and since you brought the elephant in the room up,
Yes. The beautiful.
one of the first times I talked to you, and you said something that has stuck with me about flying that airplane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's difficult, but you love it is not adequate description of what you describe flying that airplane as.
A little over 34,000 hours, multiple type ratings, and of all the airplanes I've flown, it is by far the worst flying airplane I've ever flown. But I have the biggest smile on my face when I fly because it's fun. But it's hard to fly with any precision because it just kind of wallows around the air,
Lumbering.
and every little lift or sink, it's just, there's no flaps on it. It's
You got
actually,
that huge wing.
yeah.
It's gonna
Yeah, and
be
it's
affected
and
that way,
that
isn't it?
big old boat hanging out underneath, and it just kind of wallows through the air, and yeah, it's hard to fly with any precision.
Now he's being
But-
very not generous to himself.
Oh, I know. I've seen that airplane fly with precision.
Well, and I've taken one flight in it, and I was in the back, and he got to do like a short approach to the small runway here, and I was back there kind of like, wow, are we going to make this turn with this thing? And I mean, it was pretty awesome. I think he did very well with it.
That's why I like fighting force fires, because you're down there having
Yeah,
fun
you're
turning.
low, and you're
Yes.
making the 180,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and you just greased it. I mean, it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, no,
So-
I love flying it. It's hard to fly with precision. You
Well,
just kind of
As a passenger in the back, I could say that you make it seem like you're flying it very well with precision. You do a great job at it.
yeah. Thank you.
Well, again, layman looking up at the air show looked pretty damn precise to me.
Yeah.
So
But
It takes a lot of work. I mean, when I'm flying it in the air show, I'm like, come on, and then,
well, and that's the thing is you
And
got to really be thinking ahead when you're flying that thing,
Yeah,
right? Because it's
yeah.
not like this where you just bank it and you're
No,
making the
it's-
turn. You're like, well, I got to make that turn by the time I get to that marker over there,
Yeah.
and so I better start it now.
yeah,
And then once I'm starting to make that turn, you better already have the correction in
Yeah.
to get the other way. Otherwise, you're going
Yep.
right over the crowd or something.
and I actually, they used them for fighting force fires.
yeah, they did.
A lot of them, they'd put the B-25 QECs on them for the more power, but I can't imagine flying that in the turbulence and the wind, and you're right above the trees fighting
Want
force
a
fires.
full load of
Yes.
retardant
Yeah.
or just water.
Yeah, my respect goes out to those PBY
Well, and let's
pilots
face
that
it.
fought force fires. Yeah.
That airplane is in probably one of the greatest opening shots of a movie ever.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Isn't that like the
Absolutely.
greatest
That is. I've only watched that maybe
1,000 times?
2,000 times. Yeah.
That is such a
Yeah.
good. That thing just comes in and you're just like, oh,
Yep. Yeah.
oh yeah, there we
Yeah,
go.
that's a classic.
If you haven't seen
Yeah.
that movie, you got to see Always.
Absolutely.
Highly recommended.
Yeah.
Holds up to this day.
Yeah.
Well, I think there were some mariners still fighting fires up till a few years ago, and
I think they just didn't they just retire that last one?
I think so.
Oh.
And
Oh, you mean the Martin Mars?
Martin.
yeah,
Yeah, the Martin Mars. I actually applied to them. I wanted to fly those fighting force fires because I love the seaplanes. I
sure.
love that whole thing, and so I sent them an application, and they said no. We need 5,000 hours of multi-engine seaplane time before they'd even talk to you. I was like,
Really?
How do you get
that?
that? So that
You
was
buy
Chalks
one.
Airlines. Well, no, and then I thought, okay, I'll apply at Chalks Airlines. They were flying the Albatrosses. I'll do that.
yeah.
Because it didn't say PIC time. It just said 5,000 hours of multi-engine sea time. Mm-hmm. And I ended up not
even
going
getting close.
a different route. And Ian told me, see, I was looking at retiring early. I was looking at the CL-415s. That'd be awesome. Multi-engine sea. I love flying in the water and everything else. And Ian tells me, Dad, that's a young man's game because they're going fire, lake, fire, lake, fire, lake. and NAFA training, the Forest Service training for firefighting pilots. Eavesdropping on a conversation with one of the CL 415 guys, and he did 86 drops in one day.
Holy
That
smokes.
is tough.
Yeah.
Because you're not just going to a lake and picking. No, you're watching out for boaters and kayakers and fishermen, and then you're going to the fire. Which
Back
is
to the
dangerous.
Always
Yes.
movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I everything I heard about Neptune was just, it's a fantastic company. So I applied at Neptune, and now I'm working for Neptune.
So how excited are you to start this new chapter?
Oh, very. I
Yeah,
can't wait.
back to flying.
Yeah, during the training when I was up in Missoula, we did, I rode along on some practice drops and training drops, and it's like, oh, yes, this is fun. Yes.
And you just passed your check ride like 2 days ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. 2 days ago.
So you're
yeah.
good to go. You got there.
Well, I still got to do the IOE, with a qualified instructor, co-pilot at one of the bases. And I'm really looking forward to it.
So besides the Tiger Cat and the PBY, what other aircraft? I've seen you in a couple of others. Mm-hmm. Talk some about the rest of the museum aircraft
TBM is.
Oh yeah,
I've flown the TBM, and the thing that impresses me about the TBM is it's not real fast, and it's not real maneuverable. It's very heavy on the controls, which is great for a
torpedo
bomber platform. But I can't imagine. You got to get down there, and you got to be steady, and your torpedo. 10 degrees to the left, and to drop this torpedo, and you got to be. And that whole time you're trying to be steady and stable. Guess what? Everybody's shooting at you.
Right at you.
They
don't have to figure out your altitude.
Yeah,
They're just
and
shooting.
you're not jinking and janking in a fighter. Yes.
They take exception to being torpedoed, I understand.
Yes,
I think that's why that wasn't a very successful torpedo platform, though.
Oh, no, actually it was.
Was it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The torpedoes were the problem early on.
Yes.
And at Midway, the pilots have been trained. You got to be 100 feet at 80 knots. I mean, talk about please shoot me down.
Yes.
Once they got the torpedo squared away, the drops were actually from 400 and about 200 knots, which
in a TBM, that's like
that's
takeoff
full
power
power.
to get. Yeah, that's full power to get to.
But again, the first time the Japanese encountered the Avenger was at the Midway, and they couldn't believe how tough it was and how fast it was. Mm-hmm. And eventually they were very successful by 44. They put some ships on the bottom. Yeah. And in fact, they helped sink Yamato. I mean, biggest warship ever built.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, at least gun warship. And it was the fault of really was the torpedo.
But when I've flown the TBM, I've pictured what it would be like, and no thanks. Get me in a Corsair where I can,
start way high.
Yes.
Come in. And you
exactly.
Get the hell out of there, right?
Dodge anything I can.
Eventually, they figured out that you can throw bombs on a Corsair or Hellcat, and you don't need a dedicated dive bomber to do the job.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, the first talk I ever did was the debut of the Avenger, and I can't imagine those guys.
Yeah. No, it would have been a tough. I would have much rather gone to war in a Corsair or something like that than. Than
I don't believe they asked those guys.
Yeah, no. even the PBY, you're cruising 100 to 110 knots indicated. That's cruise, and you're just a sitting
giant
duck.
Target out there.
Yes.
Well, they found that out early on, which is why they did most of their combat at night. After they just got slaughtered at Jolo in 1942. But imagine, if you will, because you've got a good imagination, flying that airplane with a couple of torpedoes slung under it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
or
interesting?
Depth charges or, yes.
Yeah, depth charges or 4 bombs.
Yes. Yep. But you're making a passing dive attack at a submarine, and if they're surfaced, they're going to be shooting at you. And you're such a slow target, it'd be like shooting a goose flying by. Boom! It's like, yeah.
I don't know. I've shot geese. It'd probably be more difficult.
Yeah, a much bigger target than
with a Gatling gun.
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna take that thing out.
Yeah, but flying the other airplanes here, I've been blessed. Your dad's let me fly. The Beech 18, the Widgeon. Unfortunately, I haven't flown them in a long time. But
you flew the Widgeon, huh?
I'm the very last person to have flown the Widgeon.
Oh, cool.
And I used to own a Widgeon project, an old Pan Am airplane. I ended up selling it to help buy the house at Meadow Lake. But yeah, I've always loved seaplanes. I don't know, the Boeing 314. I go to what is Badass Coffee over there in Falcon, and I go. Nicole loves the coffee, so I go in there, and what do? I walk in there and I look at the picture, the Boeing 314 in the water in Hawaii. It's just
moored up.
314.
Well, it's got everything you'd want as a guy almost. It's
Yeah.
it's like a boat and a plane, and it's just all of it, all in one package.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just finished Ernest K. Gann's autobiography, and he, of course, flew a lot of aircraft, and I found out he actually flew an F-111.
Oh.
But he said the seaplanes was an epiphany. He said, where has this been all my life?
Yeah.
He's got a Booker Jungmann doing aerobatics and stuff like that, but then his final love, and it's like, why have I wasted so much time?
Yes.
Because he was a sailor and a pilot, and how do you?
The two of them.
How much more perfect could that be?
Yeah, it's really fun to go to the airport. And it's really fun to get in a really cool World War II airplane, like a PBY. And then hop in that and fly it and go land in
on
the
a lake
and
somewhere.
go swimming. Wouldn't
it be cool?
It's
We like
seaplanes
buzzing
are
lakes,
fun.
so then you'd be able to land in it and then have all the
and just hang out, go swimming. And
what's up, everybody?
It's,
Hey, can you guys move? I gotta go.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's amazing. This has been a great episode. Definitely burned through the time. I got one more question, maybe. How many airplanes do you think that you've flown in your lifetime? Do you have any kind of number for that?
A Frontier crew member asked me that, and I sat down and went through all of them, and it came out to I think it was 75 different, and it's like Cessna 140, Cessna 150, Cessna 170, Cessna 180, Cessna 185. 195, and adding them all up, Stearmans and PT-22s, and it was 75 different airplanes from the little ultralight that my old neighbor.
So then add on to that, of all the planes that you haven't flown, which is the unicorn?
What's the one
you're missing right now that you haven't?
I was this close to getting typed in the Brewster.
Yeah.
I would love to fly. Nicole's great granddad flew those in World War II.
Yeah, we know.
And I would absolutely love to fly a Corsair. Who doesn't like a Corsair? It's absolutely gorgeous.
Nobody's sane.
Almost everybody grew up.
This airplane's definitely the sexiest airplanes in the museum. But
it's very not well known. Most people don't even know what a Tiger Cat is.
No.
It wasn't in the war. It didn't have all the footage. It wasn't on Baba Black Sheep. It wasn't,
right.
Corsair.
Didn't get the fame and the fortune.
Yeah.
And the Tiger Cat is a sexy airplane, but the Corsair is that's the
I believe
pitter
it.
patter. Yeah.
You got anything in closing?
No, I think that's a great note to end on.
Yeah.
Because we are going to be flying the Corsair.
Yeah.
On April 18th, Doolittle Day.
Yeah.
For the first fly day.
Yeah.
And Matt Outing's going to talk about the Brits flying the Corsair because they're the ones who taught our guys how to get aboard the ship.
The other airplane, unfortunately, was White 33 because my very first flight instructor was a P-38 pilot in World War II in the South Pacific, and he told me some awesome stories. Unfortunately, I was in high school, and I didn't really. I appreciated his history, but I wish the heck in hindsight that I'd picked his brain
everybody
more.
that we've ever talked to that's our age or whatever that has been around this is the same way.
Yeah.
I got lineup being a chino as a kid, and just all I cared about was running around and wanting to buy little trinkets, and and sitting inside the hangar where every ace that was alive essentially selling books, and you could have just sat there and just talked to those guys all day long, and I was just too busy wanting to do other things.
And when I used to fly the PBY Gus Vincent's back in Santa Rosa, we'd take to air shows all the time, and you get these guys that come out, and they'd come and look at the PBY, and they'd be like enamored by the PBY. I'm like, there's a Corsair over there, there's a P-51, there's a P-40, there's all this, and they're like, no, this is my favorite airplane because this one saved my life.
Yep.
And they'd be there with a tear in their eye, in love with the PBY, and I'm thinking, this big boat? There's all these cool fighters. You don't appreciate that.
If you're in the middle of the ocean and you're one big life raft,
there's a personal connection to those people.
That's the finest.
Because they wouldn't be there looking at it if it wasn't for that airplane.
Yes, exactly.
So,
right.
Well, this is a good way to leave it off.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you sitting down with us, and definitely
fun.
expect that we're going to do this again because you're a plethora of knowledge of airplanes. It's just vast.
Yeah.
And we really appreciate it.
Now, maybe.
No, it's still working as far as we know. We'll find out later. But
we'll see.
All right, Ian, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank
you for having me.
Great.
Thanks for being had. Well, as I say, when the idea for this podcast first came up, Ian was the first guy I thought about.
Yeah, he's definitely been on my list, and he's probably wanted to hold off for a little bit and make sure that this thing wasn't some janky operation that it, or that at least we could get our crap together and kind of make it into something. So So it's just good to have him on. I mean, like I was saying, he's a pilot's pilot.
Oh yeah.
He's just one of those grassroots guys, that likes to get in the airplane and just go, and he doesn't care where he's going or what he's doing as long as he's
flying,
having fun doing it, and. That was like my question about how do you survive the airlines for so long when it's very regimented, push button.
Yep.
Like you said, you get up to a certain point and you got to let it fly itself. And so, but I guess it's just that you come back home and you live at an airport and you pull his own airplane out and then go get it.
Well, you got to fund these things somehow.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been able to figure that out myself. So
paying the bills. Well. We already talked about the fly day.
Yep. We still got buildings being done. Siding's almost all up on it right now. I mean, it's going pretty fast, but of course we're still looking to fund it. Completely, finish funding it. So if you can go to the website, if you're interested in donating anything at all, it all helps.
Every little bit.
And again, in the description, if you are a Kroger grocery, and it doesn't matter where you're at in the country, I guess. Apparently it works everywhere in the country. In the description where you found the podcast, you can go step by step. It takes about 2 minutes if you shop at these places. Set it up on their website, put us as your benefactor. It doesn't affect you at all. It doesn't cost you anything, but we get a small percentage of whatever you spend at these grocery stores comes to the museum, and every little bit helps.
Hey, mill levies work for a reason.
Yeah.
Tiny little bits accumulate, and all those tiny little bits will help us. Now, of course, we're starting to really gear up for the air show, 1920 September.
Yes, we are.
I don't know if it's sold out yet or not.
No, it's not sold out. It probably won't sell out till it's close to. It's kind of how air shows go. They don't always sell out right away because people get excited about things when they start coming up. But the problem is if you wait too long, then I start getting the phone calls later. Like, hey, do you have any tickets?
Can you hook me up? Yeah,
because they're all gone. So I would highly suggest, and not only that, but they do the pricing on a tier. So they sell so many tickets at the cheapest price.
Yep.
And then when those are gone, they bump up the price a little bit. So if you know you'd like to go to a great air show and you're going to be available September 19th and 20th, which is the best time of the year out here in Colorado, and get your tickets now. Save you some money. You're set. You don't have to worry about it. And then all you have to do is just plan for getting here in September.
Yep.
And we're going to have some amazing airplanes, man. I'm really excited about what we got going on with this show, and it's really taking shape. So
yeah,
really excited about it.
As you should be.
All right, Rob. Well, I got to get to work. So
Thanks, brother.
for Concorde Batteries, our guest Ian Wayman, William Stevenson behind the cameras, my co-host Rob Gale, and myself, Scott Clares, stay safe out there.
Please do.